A peaceful village changed forever when a dragon appeared near a school bus at dawn. The sun had not yet risen over Maple Ridge when Sarah Mitchell started her school bus that cold October morning. She had driven this mountain route for 12 years, knowing every curve and bump by heart. The air smelled of pine trees and morning dew. Everything seemed normal as she began picking up children from their homes along the winding road. 7 children sat in the bus, talking quietly about their homework and weekend plans. Sarah smiled at their chatter in the rearview mirror. These kids were like family to her. She knew their names, their favorite subjects, and their dreams for the future. The road curved around Thunder Mountain, a path Sarah had traveled thousands of times. But as she rounded the familiar bend near Miller's Creek, she pressed hard on the brakes. The bus came to a sudden stop. There in the middle of the road stood a creature from legends and storybooks. A dragon. The children gasped. Some screamed. Others sat frozen in their seats, unable to believe what they were seeing. The dragon was massive, at least 30 feet long from nose to tail. Its scales shimmered silver in the early morning light, like moonlight on water. 2 enormous wings stretched partway open, though one wing hung at an odd angle, clearly damaged. The creature's golden eyes watched the bus with intelligence and caution. "Everyone stay calm," Sarah said in a steady voice, though her heart pounded like a drum. "Stay in your seats. Do not move." Instead, it stayed very still, watching them. Sarah noticed something strange. The dragon's body language seemed protective, not aggressive. It reminded her of how a mother dog might stand guard. Then Sarah saw why. Beneath the dragon's good wing, 3 small shapes huddled together. Baby dragons, each no bigger than a large dog. Their scales were lighter than their mother's, almost white with hints of silver. They peeped softly like frightened birds. "She has babies," Sarah breathed. "She's protecting her babies." Dark stains that might be dried blood marked the silver scales. The mother dragon shifted her weight, clearly in pain. "What do we do?" asked little Sophie Rodriguez, her voice shaking. Sarah thought quickly. She could try to back up the bus, but the road was narrow with a steep drop on one side. She could honk the horn to scare the dragon away, but that might provoke an attack, or she could wait and see what happened. "We wait," Sarah decided. "We stay calm and we wait." Slowly, very slowly, the mother dragon began to move. She limped to the side of the road, away from the bus, keeping her body between her babies and the vehicle. She was giving them space to pass. "She's letting us go," Sarah whispered in amazement. But Sarah did not drive forward immediately. Instead, she reached for her phone and took several photos through the windshield. Then she called the village emergency line. "This is Sarah Mitchell on Route 7 near Miller's Creek," she said when the operator answered. "You need to send someone up here. There's a dragon on the road, a real dragon. She has 3 babies with her and she appears to be injured. Large silver scales, wings, the whole thing. I'm not joking and I'm not confused. Send help, but tell them to be careful. She's protecting her young." The mother watched every inch of their movement but did not attack. As they passed, Sarah could see the pain and exhaustion in those golden eyes. This was not a monster from scary stories. This was a mother trying to protect her children, just like any human mother would. "Is she going to be okay?" Emma asked quietly. "I don't know, sweetheart," Sarah answered honestly, "but we're going to try to help her." Parents rushed to the school, demanding to know if their children were safe. The mayor's office received dozens of panicked phone calls. The local news station sent a reporter racing up the mountain road. Sarah gathered the 7 children around her in the school parking lot before their parents arrived. "Listen to me carefully," she said. "That dragon did not hurt us. She had every chance to attack, but she didn't. She moved aside to let us pass. She's injured and scared, just like we would be if we were hurt and had babies to protect. We need to tell people the truth about what happened. Because if they don't, they might do something that hurts that mother and her babies. and that would be wrong. Sarah Mitchell knew her peaceful village had changed forever. The question was whether it would change for better or worse. The emergency meeting at Maple Ridge Town Hall was packed with worried villagers. Mayor Robert Thompson stood at the front, trying to calm the crowd. People shouted questions and concerns all at once. "We need to call animal control." I was there. I saw the dragon up close. She did not attack us. She moved aside to let us pass. She's injured and protecting her babies. Has anyone here ever actually met a dragon before today? We only know dragons from old stories and movies. But this morning, I saw a real dragon, and she acted like any scared mother would act. I've seen the photos she took. That wing injury looks serious. The dragon probably can't fly back to wherever she came from. She might be stranded here. Learn about her behavior before we make any decisions. If we act out of fear, we might make things worse. She's been on that mountain road for at least a few hours based on the tracks. She could have gone into the village, but she didn't. She stayed in a remote area. The road near Miller's Creek would be closed. Sarah and Dr. Chen would monitor the dragon family from a safe distance. If the dragon showed any aggressive behavior toward the village, authorities would step in. The next morning, Sarah and Dr. Chen drove up the mountain road in his truck. They parked far from where the dragon family had settled under a large rock overhang. Through binoculars, they could see the mother dragon lying on her side, her injured wings stretched out. The three baby dragons played nearby, chasing each other in circles. "They act like puppies," Sarah whispered in amazement. Dr. Chen studied the mother dragon's wing through his binoculars. "That injury is infected. See the swelling. She needs medical care, or that wing might never heal properly. Clean the wound, apply antibiotics, keep it protected while it heals." The mother drank from the nearby creek but didn't eat anything. The babies caught small fish from the water and brought them to their mother, but she pushed the food toward them instead. "She's not eating," Dr. Chen observed with concern. "She's too weak or in too much pain." The mother dragon watched them with suspicious golden eyes. She waited until they were far away, then slowly dragged herself toward the offerings. She drank deeply from the bucket. After a long moment, she ate one of the chickens. "She accepted our help," Sarah said with excitement. Word spread through Maple Ridge about Sarah's dragon watching. Some villagers thought she was crazy. Others were curious. On the third day, a surprising thing happened. The 7 children from the school bus asked their parents if they could visit the observation point. Most parents said no, but Emma Chen's mother agreed to bring her daughter to see Dr. Chen's work. Marcus Johnson's father, a wildlife photographer, decided to document the historic event. Emma brought something special, a large drawing she had made, showing the dragon family and the school bus. She had drawn the dragon with a smile, surrounded by hearts and flowers. "Can we give this to her?" Emma asked Sarah. Sarah smiled. "Let's try." Then they retreated. Through binoculars, they watched the mother dragon examine the drawing. She lowered her massive head and sniffed the paper carefully. Then she did something incredible. She gently picked up the drawing with her teeth and carried it back to her resting spot, placing it carefully beside her babies. "She kept it," Emma breathed. "She actually kept my drawing." By that evening, the photo of the dragon holding the child's drawing was spreading across the internet. More children wanted to visit. By the end of the week, a steady stream of kids came with their parents to leave drawings, toys, and small gifts for the dragon family. The babies became braver, venturing closer to examine the colorful offerings. But not everyone in Maple Ridge was happy with this development. A town council member named Gregory Walsh organized a protest. "We're teaching our children to approach dangerous wild animals," he argued at another town meeting. "This is irresponsible. That creature needs to be removed before someone gets hurt. She's shown us nothing but restraint and peaceful behavior. Our children are learning something valuable. They're learning that different doesn't mean dangerous. They're learning compassion. Dragons belong in mountains and caves, not near our schools and homes. Weeks, maybe months, Dr. Chen admitted. Wing injuries heal slowly. Chen, I want daily reports on that dragon's behavior. She wrote about how the mother dragon now recognized her truck and no longer tensed when Sarah approached to leave supplies. She wrote about how the baby dragons were growing bolder each day, playing closer to the observation point. She wrote about how the village children had created a name for the mother dragon. They called her Luna because her silver scales glowed like moonlight. Most importantly, Sarah wrote about her growing certainty that this dragon family was not a threat to Maple Ridge. They were refugees, seeking safety in a difficult situation. The question was whether the village would offer them that safety or drive them away. 2 weeks had passed since Luna first appeared on the mountain road. Sarah Mitchell and Dr. Chen had established a daily routine of bringing food and monitoring the dragon family's health. Each day, Luna's trust in them grew a little stronger, but her wing was getting worse, not better. The infection is spreading, Dr. Chen said grimly as he studied Luna through binoculars. See how she's favoring that side more. If we don't treat it soon, she might lose the ability to fly permanently. Chen pulled out a notebook filled with calculations and diagrams. I've been researching and consulting with veterinarians who work with large animals. Based on her size, I've calculated the right dosage of antibiotics. We'll need strong cleaning solution, bandages, and pain medication. Chen filled a large syringe with antibiotic medication. Sarah gathered clean cloths, bottled water, and antiseptic solution. They also brought Luna's favorite food, fresh salmon from the market. The 3 baby dragons, who the village children had named Star, Cloud, and Shimmer, were playing near the creek. Luna watched them from her resting spot under the rock overhang, her golden eyes alert despite her obvious exhaustion. Sarah and Dr. Chen approached slowly, carrying their medical supplies in clear view. They stopped about 30 feet away from Luna. Luna, Sarah called softly, using the name the children had given her. We want to help you. Your wing needs medicine. Her body tensed, muscles ready to defend her young if necessary. But she did not growl or bare her teeth. Dr. Chen set down his medical bag and stepped back. Sarah placed the fresh salmon on the ground, then she too stepped back. Luna watched them for a long moment. Then slowly, she dragged herself forward. She sniffed the salmon, then looked at the medical supplies with clear suspicion. Her intelligence was obvious in those golden eyes. She understood they wanted something from her. Sarah did something that made Dr. Chen's heart stop. She sat down on the ground, making herself smaller and less threatening. Then she rolled up her sleeve and picked up a small bandage from the medical supplies. Look, Luna, Sarah said gently. She wrapped the bandage around her own arm, showing the dragon what they intended to do. Medicine, to help you heal. Then Luna did something extraordinary. She stretched out her injured wing toward them, wincing in pain as she did so. She understands, Dr. Chen whispered in awe. She's giving us permission. His hands trembled slightly as he knelt beside the dragon's wing. Up close, Luna was even more magnificent and terrifying. One swipe of her clawed foot could end his life instantly, but Luna remained still, watching him with those intelligent golden eyes. Dr. Chen began cleaning the wound with gentle hands. Luna made a low, rumbling sound deep in her throat, like distant thunder, but she did not pull away. The infection was worse than he had thought. The torn membrane was hot to the touch and badly swollen. Sarah knelt on Luna's other side, speaking softly to the dragon. You're so brave, Luna. We're helping you. Soon you'll be able to fly again with your babies. They watched their mother being treated by the strange 2-legged creatures, making soft, worried sounds. Dr. Chen worked for almost an hour, cleaning every part of the wound. Then he carefully administered the antibiotic injection into Luna's shoulder muscle. The dragon flinched but did not move away. Finally, he wrapped the wing in protective bandaging, securing it carefully. "There," he said, stepping back. "That should help, but you'll need daily treatments for at least 2 weeks." Then she looked at Sarah and Dr. Chen and made a sound that was almost like a purr. She reached out with her long neck and gently touched Sarah's shoulder with her snout, careful not to hurt the small human. Sarah felt tears in her eyes. "You're welcome, Luna." He organized a special educational program at the elementary school about dragon biology, wildlife conservation, and the importance of helping injured animals. The children were fascinated. They learned about wing anatomy, healing processes, and animal behavior. Emma Chen gave a presentation about her observations of the baby dragons, complete with dozens of drawings she had made. "Dragons are not monsters," 10-year-old Marcus Johnson told his classmates confidently. "They're just animals like bears or eagles. They have families and feelings just like us." Chen attended these sessions, sharing their daily observations. They showed videos of Luna playing gently with her babies, of the dragons drinking from the creek, of Luna carefully examining the gifts left by children. Slowly, the village's attitude began to shift. People who had been afraid started becoming curious. Families began driving up to the observation point on weekends, keeping a respectful distance but wanting to see the dragon family for themselves. The village bakery started selling dragon-shaped cookies, with proceeds going to fund Luna's medical care. The local bookstore created a display of dragon stories and wildlife books. Children wore dragon costumes to school. Maple Ridge was becoming known as the Dragon Village. But not everyone was happy with this transformation. Gregory Walsh continued his campaign to remove Luna and her babies from the mountain. "This is ridiculous," he complained at yet another town meeting. "We're turning into a tourist attraction instead of a proper village." What happens when more dragons show up? What happens if Luna decides she likes it here and never leaves? Our children are learning compassion. Families are spending time together at the observation point. We're famous around the world for showing kindness to a creature in need. Actually, my data shows that Luna's behavior has become increasingly docile over the past 2 weeks. She now allows supervised children to approach within 20 feet. She's never shown aggression toward any human. In my professional opinion, she's safer than many domestic dogs. Safety rules, designated viewing areas, and educational requirements before anyone can approach closely. The dragon who had terrified her that first morning had become something else entirely. Not a monster, not even just an animal. Luna had become a teacher, showing the village of Maple Ridge what was possible when fear was replaced with understanding. The healing process had begun for Luna's wing, but perhaps more importantly, a different kind of healing had begun for the entire community. 3 weeks after treatment began, Luna's wing was healing remarkably well. The infection had cleared, and the torn membrane was starting to mend. Dr. Chen was optimistic that within another month, Luna might regain the ability to fly. But trouble was coming to Maple Ridge. It started with strange vehicles appearing on the mountain roads. Unmarked vans with tinted windows parked near the observation areas. Men in expensive suits walked through the village asking questions about the dragon family. Sarah noticed them immediately. "Who are these people?" she asked Mayor Thompson. The mayor looked uncomfortable. "Some are reporters, others are from wildlife organizations. A few claim to be scientists. They all want access to Luna. Some want to move her to a research facility where she can be properly examined. She doesn't need to be moved anywhere." The discovery of a living dragon is the most important zoological find in human history, Dr. Sterling announced at a hastily called town meeting. "This creature must be properly studied and documented. We have facilities designed for large exotic animals. We can provide better care than a small-town veterinarian." I have 3 decades of experience with rare and exotic species. The dragon and her offspring should be transported to our facility immediately. I've been in contact with federal wildlife authorities. Dragons, if they exist, fall under endangered species protection. That means federal jurisdiction. Villagers who had spent weeks building trust with Luna were outraged at the thought of strangers taking her away. Emma Chen stood up, her young voice cutting through the noise. Luna isn't yours to take. She chose to stay near our village. She trusts us. If you try to take her, you'll scare her and hurt her babies. She's recovering from her injury in a safe environment. Why would we disrupt that? A film studio wanted to lease Luna for a movie. A zoo director proposed creating a special dragon habitat. Each offer was refused, but then something happened that changed everything. Late one night, Sarah received a frantic phone call from the police officer on patrol near Luna's territory. "Sarah, you need to get up here now. Someone's trying to tranquilize Luna." 2 large trucks with cages were parked near the observation point. Men with tranquilizer guns were attempting to approach Luna, who was roaring in distress and shielding her babies with her body. The 3 baby dragons were crying in fear, huddled beneath their mother's wings. Luna's golden eyes blazed with fury and terror. Her injured wing, still partially bandaged, was spread wide in a defensive posture. "Stop!" Sarah screamed, running toward the men. "What are you doing?" "Stay back, lady. This is a legal acquisition. I have permits." I didn't know what to do. Villagers poured out onto the mountain road. Parents with children, elderly residents, shop owners, teachers. The entire village of Maple Ridge came to defend Luna. They formed a human barrier between the men with tranquilizer guns and the dragon family. "You'll have to go through us first," Mrs. Patterson declared, standing with her arms crossed despite being 75 years old. The children from the school bus stood at the front of the group. Emma, Marcus, Sophie, and the others held hands, creating a line of young defenders. "Luna is our friend," Emma said loudly. "She never hurt anyone. We won't let you take her." These children have learned more from Luna about compassion and coexistence than any textbook could teach them. This dragon family stays with us. I'll have you all arrested. But this is private land, adjacent to state-protected forest. These permits aren't valid here. Leave now, or I'll have you arrested. Finally, state wildlife officials arrived with their own legal experts. After reviewing the situation, they sided with Maple Ridge. "The dragon family will remain here under village protection," the senior wildlife officer declared. "We're establishing this area as a temporary protected habitat. Anyone attempting to capture or harm these dragons will face federal charges." Luna, who had been defensive and frightened throughout the ordeal, slowly approached the group of humans who had protected her. She lowered her massive head and made a gentle rumbling sound. Then she did something that brought tears to many eyes. She carefully touched her snout to Emma's outstretched hand, then to Marcus, then to Sophie. The baby dragons emerged from beneath their mother's wings. Star, Cloud, and Shimmer approached the children cautiously, making soft chirping sounds. "She knows," Sarah whispered. "She knows we protected her." And they had proven that compassion was stronger than greed, that community was more powerful than money, and that protecting the innocent was worth any cost. Luna and her babies were safe, but more than that, they were home. A peaceful village changed forever when a dragon appeared near a school bus at dawn. Chen had dared to hope. The torn membrane had mended, and Luna could now spread both wings fully without pain. The morning everyone had been dreading finally arrived. Sarah stood at the observation point with Dr. Chen, watching as Luna stretched her silver wings wide. The dragon tested them carefully, flapping once, then twice. The powerful movements created gusts of wind that rustled the nearby trees. "She can fly again," Dr. Chen said quietly. There was joy in his voice, but also sadness. "She'll be leaving soon." Adults brought food offerings and flowers. Emma Chen stood at the front of the crowd, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I don't want her to go," she whispered to her mother. "I know, sweetheart," Mrs. Chen said gently, "but Luna has healed now. She needs to go back to where dragons belong, high in the mountains where she can fly free." Tables were set up with Luna's favorite foods. Children performed songs they had written about their dragon friend. Mr. Torres gave a speech about everything the community had learned from Luna's presence. "This dragon taught us that different does not mean dangerous," Mr. Torres said. "She taught us that compassion can overcome fear. She showed us that protecting others, even those who are different from us, is what makes a community strong." The three baby dragons, now almost twice their original size, played around their mother's feet. Star had developed a habit of bringing shiny rocks to children as gifts. Cloud loved to splash in the creek, getting everyone nearby wet. Shimmer was the bravest, often approaching humans first. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Luna did something unexpected. She walked toward the gathered crowd, her steps slow and deliberate. People stepped back nervously, but Luna's body language was calm and peaceful. She approached Sarah first, lowering her massive head to eye level. Sarah reached out and placed her hand on Luna's snout, just as she had done many times during the healing process. "Thank you for trusting us," Sarah whispered. "Thank you for teaching us so much." One by one, Luna approached the people who had cared for her. The police officers who had patrolled her territory. Mrs. Patterson who had baked special meat pies for her. Marcus's father who had documented her recovery. The mayor who had protected her from those who wanted to take her away. Finally, Luna approached the 7 children from the school bus. Emma, Marcus, Sophie, and the others stood together, trying to be brave despite their tears. Luna lowered her head and allowed each child to hug her massive snout. The baby dragons joined in, rubbing against the children's legs like affectionate cats. "Will you come back to visit us?" Emma asked through her tears. Luna's response was a soft sound that might have meant anything, but her golden eyes were warm and kind. As darkness fell, everyone assumed Luna would wait until morning to depart. But the dragon had other plans. Under the light of a full moon, Luna stretched her wings once more. The baby dragons climbed onto their mother's back, settling between her shoulder blades where they could hold on safely. The crowd held its breath. Luna crouched, her powerful legs tensing. Then, with a leap that seemed impossible for such a massive creature, she launched herself into the air. Her wings beat strongly, lifting her and her babies higher and higher into the night sky. The villagers watched in awe as the dragon family rose above the treetops, above the mountain peaks, circling once, twice, 3 times over Maple Ridge. Luna's silver scales glowed in the moonlight, making her look like a shooting star come to life. Then she turned toward the distant mountains and flew away, becoming smaller and smaller until she was just a glimmer in the darkness. "Goodbye, Luna," Emma whispered. The crowd stood in silence for several minutes, watching the empty sky. Then slowly, people began to return to their cars and homes. The celebration was over. Luna was gone. Sarah felt an emptiness in her heart as she drove down the mountain road. Her daily routine for the past 2 months had revolved around caring for Luna. Now that purpose was gone, but the next morning something remarkable happened. Sarah was starting her usual school bus route when she heard excited shouts from the children at the first stop. "Miss Sarah, look up there." High on the ridge of Thunder Mountain, visible in the early morning light, was a distinctive silver shape. Luna had not left the area. She had simply moved to higher ground, and she was not alone. Several other dragon shapes moved among the mountain peaks, their scales reflecting the sunrise in shades of silver, gold, and copper. Over the following days, the truth became clear. Luna had not abandoned Maple Ridge. Instead, she had brought her kind to the mountains surrounding the village. The dragons established nests in the high peaks, visible from the valley but far enough away to maintain their wild nature. The baby dragons, Star, Cloud, and Shimmer, could sometimes be seen playing on the lower slopes. They had grown comfortable with humans and often approached the observation areas, though they were now learning to hunt and fly like wild dragons should. Scientists came to study this unprecedented situation. Never before had dragons and humans coexisted so peacefully. Maple Ridge became world famous, not as a tourist attraction, but as a symbol of what was possible when different species chose cooperation over conflict. The village established strict guidelines: no hunting near dragon territory, no disturbing dragon nests, observation from designated areas only. Anyone who violated these rules would be prosecuted. In return, the dragons seemed to watch over Maple Ridge. When a forest fire threatened the village one dry summer, the dragons helped by creating fire breaks with their powerful wings. When a child got lost in the mountains, it was Luna who found the little girl and gently guided her back to the trail. Sarah continued her school bus route every morning, and every morning as she rounded the bend at Miller's Creek, she looked up at Thunder Mountain. More often than not, she would see Luna perched on her favorite ridge, silver scales gleaming in the dawn light. Sometimes Luna would call out, a sound that echoed through the valley like beautiful, otherworldly music. Sarah would honk her bus horn in response, and the children would wave at their dragon friend. Emma Chen, now a year older and wiser, started a school club dedicated to dragon conservation. Marcus Johnson became an expert in dragon behavior, sharing his observations with scientists around the world. Sophie Rodriguez wrote a book about her experience, which became required reading in schools everywhere. The peaceful village of Maple Ridge had indeed changed forever, but not in the way people had feared. It had changed for the better. Where once there had been an ordinary town, there was now a place where the impossible became real, where fear had been replaced with understanding, where a school bus driver and a veterinarian had shown that kindness could heal even the deepest wounds, and where, every dawn, a dragon watched over the village that had saved her life, just as that village now protected hers. The morning sun rose over Thunder Mountain, painting Luna's silver scales with golden light. She spread her wings and called out her greeting to the valley below, and from the school bus on the winding mountain road, Sarah Mitchell smiled and called back. Two different species, speaking different languages, but understanding each other perfectly. That was the true magic of Maple Ridge. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.